Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Michael Reads. I hope your day has been purposeful and energizing. If you could please give me a thumbs up just to let me know that the sound is coming through nice, loud, and clear. I hope it is coming through, and just making sure everything is all set up. Everything looks fine on my end, so thumbs up will be great. But welcome back. Um, and Before we begin, I want to express my gratitude for your attention, your curiosity, and for your dedication to personal growth. I mean, this channel isn't merely about reading books, it's about uncovering wisdom, and that can guide how we think, how we act and live. It's about translating timeless lessons into strategies for modern life where every choice, every habit, and every moment matters. So before we continue, I just want to take a moment to say a big thank you. We've just crossed 500 views on the channel. Now, in the grand scheme of the internet, that might seem small. It is. It is very small, and probably very insignificant to many of you out there. But to me, it represents something that is far greater than a number. It represents time given, attention shared, energy exchanged. It represents every single one of you who chose to press play, to stay, to listen, to think, and in doing so, to grow alongside me. I mean, I started this channel for one simple reason, to build a habit, which is reading, of course. And that was it. I had no grand strategy, no production team, no expectation of results, just a decision to sit down, open up a book, and commit to becoming slightly better each day. And what I found is this: the act of showing up consistently, it has reshaped me. The knowledge I'm gaining is conditioning my thinking. My days are more structured. My thoughts feel sharper, and I'm more organized. I'm more comfortable on camera. That's one of the biggest things that I struggled with. I mean, if you look back at my first videos, I really was not. I'm normally the person behind the camera, not in front. So I'm more confident in expressing ideas now, and not because I'm special, but because I started. I mean, growth is not dramatic; it's gradual. So it's sometimes uncomfortable. It's often very quiet, but if you keep turning up, it just compounds. Uh, if I can do this with a full life of responsibilities and all the usual distractions, then truly so can you. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need to feel ready. All you need to do is begin. Start small, start imperfectly, start unsure, but just start. Give it time. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for 500 views. And thank you for growing with me. I really appreciate all of you. Today, we continue our journey through Bushido, focusing on the essential pillar of personal mastery, self control. In chapter 10, the last chapter, it emphasizes that mastery extends far beyond physical skill. A samurai was as much a student of the mind and spirit as he was of combat. So, education and training were lifelong endeavors encompassing philosophy, strategy, arts, and ethics. So, knowledge is cultivated daily, refined through reflection, and it's reinforced through deliberate practice. So, in today's world, this principle is especially relevant. Uh, Information is abundant, attention is scarce, and distractions are constant. So, the difference between stagnation and progress lies in how intentionally we engage with learning. So, lifelong education, it transforms yourself, it sharpens judgment, and it clarifies purpose and provides tools to navigate complexity. Say, for example, studying leadership principles enhances decision making in business. Learning emotional intelligence strengthens relationships. Reflecting on philosophy cultivates patience and perspective. Consistent, deliberate learning lays a foundation that allows loyalty to be expressed effectively, ensuring our actions align with our principles and objectives. So, uh, a quick introduction into Chapter 11, self control. You know, it's building on the education and training from Chapter 10. Um, But chapter 11, it explores self control as a cornerstone of personal mastery. So, self control is not mere restraint, it is mastery over impulses, emotions, and habits. So, it enables thoughtful action under pressure and allows intention to guide behavior rather than just fleeting desire. So the samurai practiced self control in every facet of life, in battle, in conversation, in decision making, and in thought. So in modern life, self control might look like pausing before you react in conflict, uh, in order to help you respond with clarity. Um, Choosing long term gains over immediate gratification, and maintaining focus on high value work despite distractions. So, self control, it converts knowledge into practice, loyalty into action, and ambition into meaningful achievements. So, even small, consistent actions like reading for 20 minutes, reflecting on decisions, practicing restraint in conversation, or spending accumulate into a profound transformation. So, if you like or find value in this exploration that we are going through with Bushido, or you want to know and learn more from a different perspective, where we've gone through The Art of War by Sun Tzu, like this video to support this work, share it with someone who could benefit from these lessons. Subscribe to the channel to join our ongoing journey as we have many more excellent books to get through. Books that typically aren't on people's top reads, but offer a lifetime of wisdom. And each time you read them at every stage of your life, they mean something different to you, and they will help you grow to become the person that you want to be, and sometimes will even help you achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So, subscribe to the channel, um, because your engagement allows this knowledge to reach more people, and it fosters a community committed to mastery of mind, character, and life. So, without further ado, we will go into chapter 11, self control. This is a little chapter, so by the time you've grabbed yourself a cup of tea or a coffee, maybe, if you're an evening coffee person, um, it shouldn't be much time until we are done. So, self control, which was universally required of samurai. The discipline of fortitude on the one hand, inculcating endurance without a groan, and the teaching of politeness on the other, requiring us not to mar the pleasure or serenity of another by manifestations of our own sorrow or pain, combined to engender a stoical turn of mind, and eventually to perform it into a national trait of apparent stoicism. I say apparent stoicism because I do not believe that true stoicism can ever become the characteristic of a whole nation, and also because some of our national manners and customs may seem to a foreign observer hard hearted, yet we are really as susceptible to tender emotion as any race under the sky. I am inclined to think that in one sense we have to feel more than others. Yes, doubly more, since the very attempt to restrain natural promptings entails suffering. Imagine boys and girls too, brought up not to resort to the shedding of a tear or the uttering of a groan for the relief of their feelings. And there is a psychological problem whether such effort steels their nerves or makes them more sensitive. It was considered unmanly for a samurai to betray his emotions on his face. He shows no sign of joy or anger, was a phrase used in describing a strong character. The most natural affections were kept under control. A father could embrace his son only at the expense of his dignity. A husband would not kiss his wife. No, not in the presence of other people, whatever he might do in private. There may be some truth in the remark of a witty youth when he said, American husbands kiss their wives in public and beat them in private. Japanese husbands beat theirs in public and kiss them in private. Calmness of behavior, composure of mind, should not be disturbed by passion of any kind. I remember when, during the late war with China, a regiment left a certain town. A large concourse of people flocked to the station to bid farewell to the general and his army. On this occasion, an American resident resorted to the place, expecting to witness loud demonstrations, as the nation itself was highly excited and there were fathers, mothers, and sweethearts of the soldiers in the crowd. The American was strangely disappointed, for as the whistle blew and the train began to move, the hats of thousands of people were silently taken off their heads, bowed in reverential farewell, no waving of handkerchiefs, no word uttered, but deep silence in which only an attentive ear could catch a few broken sobs. In domestic life, too, I know of a father who spent whole nights listening to the breathing of a sick child, standing behind the door that he might not be caught in such an act of parental weakness. I know of a mother who, in her last moments, refrained from sending for her son, that he might not be disturbed in his studies. Our history and everyday life are replete with examples of heroic matrons who can well bear comparison with some of the most touching pages of Plutarch. Among our peasantry of Ian Maclaren would be sure to find many a Margaret Howe. It is the same discipline of self-restraint which is accountable for the absence of more frequent revivals in the Christian churches of Japan. When a man or woman feels his or her soul stirred, the first instinct is to quietly suppress any indication of it. In rare instances is the tongue set free by an irresistible spirit when we have eloquence of sincerity and fervour. It is putting a premium upon the breach of the third commandment to encourage speaking lightly of spiritual experience. It is truly jarring to Japanese ears to hear the most sacred words, the most secret heart experiences thrown out in promiscuous audiences. Dost thou feel the soil of thy soul stirred with tender thoughts? It is time for seeds to sprout. Disturb it not with speech, but let it work alone in quietness and secrecy, writes a young samurai in his diary. To give in so many articulate words one's inmost thoughts and feelings, notably the religious, is taken among us in an unmistakable sign that they are neither very profound nor very sincere. Only a pomegranate is he, so runs a popular saying, who, when he gapes his mouth, displays the contents of his heart. It is not altogether perverseness of Oriental minds that the instant our emotions are moved, we try to guard our lips in order to hide them. Speech is very often with us, as the Frenchman defined it, the art of concealing thought. Call upon a Japanese friend in time of deepest affliction, and he will invariably receive you laughing, with red eyes or moist cheeks. At first you may think him hysterical. Press him for explanation and you will get a few broken commonplaces. Human life has sorrow. They who meet us part. He that is born must die. It is foolish to count the years of a child that is gone, but a woman's heart will indulge in follies, and the like. So the noble words of a noble Hohenzollern, learn zu leiden klagen. How many found many responsive minds among us long before they were uttered? Indeed, the Japanese have recourse to risibility whenever the frailties of human nature are put to a severest test. I think we possess a better reason than Democritus himself for our Abderian tendency for laughter with us oftenest veils an effort to regain balance of temper when disturbed by any untoward circumstance. It is a counterpoise of sorrow or rage. The suppression of feelings being thus steadily insisted upon, they find their safety valve in poetical aphorism. A poet of the 10th century writes, in Japan and China as well, humanity, when moved by sorrow, tells its better grief in verse. A mother who tries to console her broken heart by fancying her departed child absent on his wonted chase after the dragonfly hums, How far today in chase, I wonder, has gone my hunter of the dragonfly? I refrain from quoting other examples, for I know I could do only scant justice to the pearly gems of our literature, were I to render into a foreign tongue the thoughts which were wrung drop by bleeding hearts and threaded into beads of rarest value. I hope I have in a measure shown that inner working of our minds, which often presents an appearance of callousness or of an hysterical mixture of laughter and dejection, and whose sanity is sometimes called in question. It has also been suggested that our endurance of pain and indifference to death are due to less sensitive nerves. This is plausible as far as it goes. The next question is, why are our nerves less tightly strung? It may be our climate is not so stimulating as the American. It may be our monarchical form of government does not excite us as much as the Republic does the Frenchman. It may be that we do not read Sartor Resartus as zealously as the Englishman. Personally, I believe it was our very excitability and sensitiveness which made it necessity to recognize and enforce constant self-repression. But whatever may be the explanation, without taking into account long years of discipline in self-control, none can be correct. Discipline and self-control can easily go too far. It can well repress the genial current of the soul. It can force plaint natures into distortions and monstrosities. It can beget bigotry, breed hypocrisy, or habitate affections. Be a virtue never so noble, it has its counterpart and counterfeit. We must recognize in each virtue its own positive excellence and follow its positive ideal. And, and the ideal of self-restraint is to keep our mind level, as our expression is, or, to borrow a Greek term, attain the state of euthymia, which Democritus called the highest good. The acme of self-control is reached and best illustrated in the first of the two institutions which we shall now bring to view, namely the institutions of suicide and redress, of which the former known as harakiri and the latter is kataki uchi. Many foreign writers have treated more or less fully. That brings an end to that very short but very clear and concise chapter 11, self-control. So as we reflect, remember that mastery begins internally. Education equips the mind. Training, it strengthens our habits and our skills, and self-control aligns actions with purpose. So this this is not a fleeting pursuit. It is a lifelong path. By integrating these principles, we cultivate a life of clarity, resilience, and deliberate growth. Each day becomes an opportunity to strengthen our character, to extend our knowledge, and to act intentionally. As a result, challenges become lessons, decisions become much more strategic, and relationships, they flourish through consistency, patience, and empathy. A life guided by education and self-control is one where freedom, stability, and fulfillment, they naturally emerge. It is a life where loyalty, purpose, and integrity are expressed not in words but through disciplined action and thoughtful reflection. So let this let this be your guide. Yeah, and commit to learning every day. Refine your mind and habits deliberately. Exercise restraint when it matters most, and act in alignment with your values and mission. And in doing so, you build not just success or wealth, but a life of depth, resilience, and lasting impact. So, thank you so much for joining me today. If this journey resonated, please like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment sharing the lesson that stood out most to you. And continue refining your mind, cultivating your character, and aligning your actions with your purpose. As you do, you will discover not only mastery over your circumstances, but also the freedom and clarity to live intentionally. So until next time, embrace the path of lifelong learning, deliberate action, um, and thoughtful self mastery, and let every moment be an opportunity to grow. So I'll catch you on the next live stream. Click that notification bell to be alerted for the next live streams, which are typically and normally on Tuesdays and on Thursdays at 6 p.m. So I will see you next time. Thank you. Goodbye.